Today is going to be a great day. I am Nikki G, your host. Welcome to the Lone Doctrine, the food for thought exploration station, and your place in making today better than yesterday. We keep it short, simple, actionable, and practical because time is limited. Last month, we explored how resiliency is one of the most important factors in all of our lives. Here at the Lone Doctrine, we hope to give you food for thought that's not a temporary fix or even an escape, but a change of lifestyle that will lead you to your best life. Part of living your best life is self-care, and that is the topic for the month. I will be candid in telling you that a lot of my explorations that I share through this podcast are ones that I explore for myself as well. In fact, this podcast holds me accountable for bettering my everyday, and I couldn't be more grateful to have you here with me today, and I hope every week as we move forward. So, let's get into the topic of the month, self-care. Self-care has always been really difficult for me for a lot of different reasons. Whether it be putting others before myself, not feeling enough self-worth to stand my ground, and in all honesty, not really or being naive to the importance of self-care. It is so important. I've learned this through personal experience, good and bad. I'm the type who would constantly put others first, not realizing how much more I could have given everyone around me if my cup was full. And when my cup ran out, I burned out. Even outside of relationships or personal matters, I was the type of worker that would not just burn the candle at both ends, but burn multiple candles in many ways to the point that I forced myself to only work. And in that, I got rid of all my furniture so I could only sit at my workplace and work. You might say that a lot of my accomplishments have come out of that crazy mindset, but a lot of hardships came out of it as well. The burnout is tough. So we're going to explore self-care so you can find that balance and not experience what I have, which not only affected my relationships, my work, but also my health. You'll hear the concept, hustle, which has good intention, but what if I were to tell you it's more about working smart rather than working hard? When I first heard this concept, I was like, yeah, whatever, right. Well, it turns out that some of the most successful people of our time put more focus on their self-care rather than their work. Now, this isn't about sitting on your couch and doing nothing. It's giving yourself the energy you need that when you sit down to work, when you are feeding into a relationship or your life in general, it's at top value. So how do you define self-care? Let's look at some ways and see if anything aligns with your outlook. Here's what the dictionary has to say. The practice of taking action to preserve or improve one's own health is self-care. According to Psych Central, what is self-care? Self-care is any activity that we do deliberately in order to take care of our mental, emotional, and physical health. Although it's a simple concept in theory, it's something we very often overlook. Good self-care is key to improved mood and reduced anxiety. It's also key to a good relationship with oneself and others. Self-care can be activities and practices we engage in on a regular basis to either reduce stress or enhance our well-being. According to the Dictionary of Nursing, self-care is the practice of activities that are necessary to sustain life and health, normally initiated and carried out by the individual for him or herself, or however you identify. One of the most effective ways to grow is to not only explore the many different topics that come with self-development, but also to explore what they're not. I'd like to explore with you today 7 things that are good examples of self-care and 7 things that aren't by the list. Here's another outlook on self-care by Dr. Chris. Self-care can sometimes be confused with self-indulgence or selfishness, but it is neither of those. Self-care is a daily practice, one that is a deliberate and intentional and process of tending to the mind, body, and spirit. So let's take a look at 7 things which may be good not to do and 7 things that are great to do. Here's some place to start. Accepting help. Self-care is often about setting yourself up to succeed in life, and sometimes that means admitting that you can't do everything all alone. It can also sometimes mean dropping your quest for that elusive perfection. Once you accept help, don't forget to show your genuine appreciation. Creating and maintaining connections with those around you, when possible, is a bonus example of self-care in action. Here's something that might be not so great for self-care. Trying to impress people by overextending yourself. Self-care is not about pleasing everyone. This is one of my favorite quotes from all the exploration I did, because so many people try to do this, sometimes without even realizing it, at the expense of their own health and happiness. Not only is overextending yourself for others not helpful to you, it argues that it can be bad for all parties in the end, since in addition to the stress of being in a helping role, it often creates habits that undermine their efforts at self-care and increase their risk of compassion fatigue, making themselves less able to be giving in the end. Here's something that you can do: getting enough rest and relaxation. According to Psych Central, rest and relaxation are definitely part of a good self-care routine. 7 to 8 hours is paramount in addition to doing daily relaxation exercises, as well as at least one relaxing activity every day, whether it's taking a walk or spending 30 minutes unwinding. The idea is that you want to get the kind of rest that relaxes and recharges you. Something to even try is to come up with regular break rituals for yourself so you can avoid ever getting tired or stressed to the point where you might have a blow up. When we wait until that big vacation or for that stress to let up, we miss daily opportunities to take the short breaks to regroup our brains and our bodies. So what's not good to do? Probably zoning out in front of reality shows all night and then sleeping late. This is easy to do. Imagine you're coming home at the end of what feels like a very long day, a busy day, and the end of a long, busy week. If you weren't able to take regular breaks to decompress and rest, you might be feeling absolutely exhausted by whatever it is life and work has been throwing at you. You may feel tempted to just shut off your brain in front of the TV, totally zoning out, and only peeling yourself off from the couch in time to roll exhausted under the covers way after bedtime. Does this seem like good recharging to you? If we are honest with ourselves, probably not. The next morning, you'll either have to wake up at a normal hour and function on too little sleep, or you'll get to sleep late and lose the productive morning hours of your day, or just feel groggy. Guilty pleasures can be enjoyable and bring some temporary relief. Real self-care activities can actually add up to our health bottom line. So rather than doing this zoning out on TV to escape stress and exhaustion, a healthy unwinding activity like reading in the bath and then going to bed on time to get enough rest might serve you much better in the end. Here's something that we sometimes do, but sometimes forget when life gets hard. Dressing in the way that makes you feel good. That makes you feel good. Dress for success. Dress to impress. Dress for the job you want. The clothes make you feel the way you would like to feel. And this is different for everyone. This by no means fitting in a norm with the expectation of others, but really embracing who you are to feel your best self. There's no question that having good hygiene and good grooming habits and dressing well are generally thought to be makers of high functionality in our society. And spending time on feeling good about your self-presentation is a way to express that you value yourself to both yourself and the rest of the world. Believe you are worthy is a major component of self-care. But in this exploration, Dr. Burton reminded us that while feeling good and being confident about your appearance is very important to your overall health and well-being, physical self-care is the one aspect of your overall self-care, which includes caring for your mental, emotional, relational, and spiritual health. Again, it seems like finding a healthy balance is one of the best self-care strategies. Here's something that a lot of us do, again, but is only temporary. Engaging in what we like to call retail therapy without regard to your budget. Sure, dressing yourself so that you can feel well-groomed and confident is a great example of self-care. But there's a difference between putting on your best pressed suit or dress when you want to feel like a boss and going out to buy things you don't need, racking up credit card debt, which will result in extra stress. Shopping therapy, a form of coping mechanism, sometimes we can end up spending a fortune on personal maintenance, clothing, etc. None of these things are bad per se, but if we are living a goods life, we will have a harder time getting to what is a positive place called the good life, a life characterized by positive relationships, healthy behaviors, gratitude, and mindfulness, not being frivolous and spending or trying to buy happiness. Temporary escapes come with baggage, even if you do have the money to be constantly buying yourself new stuff. But it's especially bad if you're going into debt doing it. Debt is a major contributor to stress, problems, so unnecessarily digging yourself in deeper is not a good self-care strategy. Overindulging in things that create a temporary escape is an unhealthy way of coping. So instead, flip the script. How about trying allowing yourself an occasional treat? Like an ice cream cone with friends. Sounds simple, maybe sounds even cheesy, but deciding what self-care really is and isn't often has a lot to do with what your normal habits are. Are you generally quite mindful about the kind of food you put in your body? Eating veggies and fruits at most every meal and staying away from too much processed junk? Then you may want to grant yourself a little flexibility and have an occasional treat, or even a healthy treat, especially if it's part of a social occasion. But if you're frequently using sugar, treats, as a coping mechanism, reinforcing that negative habit may not serve you. It's important to consider the why behind your self-care. If you can do that, it's easier to determine which of your actions are truly about self-care and which may not end up serving you in the end. Just like mindless snacking on foods that end up making you feel worse. While an occasional treat won't wreck your health, binging on sugar or frequent overindulgence in food only provide temporary relief and can spur on more problems like obesity, ill health, and addiction. So while eating half a tray of brownies might have you feeling better in the moment, it's not real self-care because after the fact, you'll probably feel worse than you did at the beginning, not better. So anytime you're making choices about what kind of self-care, self-soothing activity you might want to engage in, consider if it will help or hurt the bottom line of your well-being. How about scheduling some time for exercise? Making some sort of exercise that works for you a priority. The more we move our bodies, the better. Of course, I understand that some people may have medical challenges, but working around those challenges, even doing positive mental workouts, goes a long, long way. And not only making room in your schedule for regular exercises, whatever that may be, will keep your body healthy. In many cases, it's been shown to be as effective as pharmaceuticals in managing mood, anxiety, and depression. Really decide based on what your challenges are will help release those feel-good neurochemicals in your body. You can also use exercise as a way to zone out and relax your mind, as a distraction from other less enriching zoning out methods like mindless snacking or TV watching. We can get sometimes caught up on this precipice, this fine line of exercising and pushing yourself past your limits in the name of appearance. So while frequent, even daily exercise is super important, part of self-care too might just be counterproductive. Sounds strange. But self-care is not jumping from one fad diet to the next or obsessively working out in an effort to create a chiseled body. Exercise as self-care works when it's about feeling good, healthy, and self-confident, not when it's about heading to the gym with the sole intention of burning off the 4 donuts you treated yourself to at work because you want to be bikini ready by the weekend. It should be a change of lifestyle, not a quick fix. And something that's really good for our self-care that we sometimes get too busy, especially as adults, is making time to just have a friend date. Humans are social beings. And while tending towards our introverted side and liking your alone time, which is totally fine and totally normal, we thrive on positive and nurturing and reciprocal relationships. It's a crucial form of our adaptive self-care. These qualities are important in your relationships with your family, but it's also important to cultivate these qualities in key friendships as well. Hence, key friendships. This doesn't mean that you have to have a lot of friends, which for the most part end up being a lot of acquaintances. Find those people that lift you up. At a certain point in life, juggling a career, family, kids, housekeeping can leave you feeling like you don't have time for your friends. Don't fall into the trap of letting key friendships fall to the side. Make time for the relationships that help you grow with people who are also committed to growth and well-being. This helps spur on the follow-through. And let me just list off some things that are good things and maybe not so great things. Not so good things when we end up going out all the time at the expense of other things that are important to you. But something that might be great is setting healthy boundaries with needy family, friends, or coworkers to find that balance. And then something that may be not so great is retreating from positive relationships and isolating yourself. Every source, every exploration I've found seem to stress balance as a part of the ultimate way to identify true self-care. And sometimes giving yourself good care means setting yourself up to get good care from others. Remember, you have to give love and care to receive love and care from others. So while setting boundaries is good, totally retreating from social life and your support network is not a good idea. But what is a great idea is you do you. True self-care isn't selfish. It's part of leading a happy, healthy life. but it's also not always easy. It can take real, conscious, intentional effort to make choices that will actually contribute to your overall wellness, as opposed to just treating the symptoms of stress or daily wear and tear. As Dr. Chris puts it, while guilty pleasures like chocolate or shopping can be enjoyable and bring some temporary relief, high-impact, scientifically grounded self-care activities can actually add up to our health bottom line. So with all of these options of what to do and not to do, what choices will you make to nurture yourself today? It can be a tricky concept sometimes. Sure, sitting on the couch watching your favorite show with a snack might be fun, and by all means, sometimes we just need a moment, but it can quickly turn into hours. And even as I find my balance, I've had times where I went to the extreme of no self-care to I'm just going to take the day off and only binge watch. Every single time I did that, I felt worse afterwards, feeling like I wasted so much time because I did. It's finding the self-care regimen that genuinely benefits your well-being because you're worth it and time is very limited. Again, what will you choose to add into your self-care regimen this week? As we explore through the month, we not only want to dive into understanding true self-care, but to also explore actionable and practical ways to incorporate different aspects into your Lone Doctrine, essentially your life. We would really, really appreciate any help you can give. Even if you find our mission valuable and it might not be for you, all patrons help our community stay strong. Check out our Patreon site at patreon.com/Lone Doctrine and see what we're all about. Thank you for your consideration, and an extra thank you to our current Patreons. And until next time, keep fighting the good fight.
It's